Growing up, society taught you to follow the script by choosing a career path and climbing the ladder. But for many people, this promise falls flat. Work suffocates them and life becomes painful. Here, you're trapped in what I call the corporate cage. Fortunately, there's a way out. You can take control of your corporate job and unlock a life of freedom. I call this living uncaged. Hi, this is your host, Matt Doan. I'm a coach, creator, and entrepreneur. Uncaging people is my mission because it's been my exact life journey. This show provides you the stories, principles, and tactics to make it happen. Welcome to Uncage Yourself.
Hey, my friend, you know I'm not a fan of escaping the 9-to-5, just running from our problems, right? The corporate 9-to-5 job, if you use it well and you're smart and strategic, is an asset for unlocking a better life for you. Don't just waste it away. Don't just run from it, okay? We've got to work hard to leverage it, though. At the same time, I know that's not always easy. I spent 15 years in corporate. I know that it can overrun your life if you let it. So we've got to work at this. We've got to create space so that it doesn't overtake our lives, so that we can do other meaningful activities professionally and personally. And we've got to employ what I call a mix of offensive and defensive maneuvers to make sure that we win back our time and energy so that our job is kept in a box. We make sure we compress it down to the minimum. We do our surgical work. We're in, out. We're really pointed on what we're doing, but this takes work. So to do these offensive and defensive maneuvers, right, to create time and energy from the job so that you can be a more capable and thriving human, we have to install what I call corporate countermeasures. These are those activities that you install, you get up and running, and they become essentially on autopilot over time, where you've put these countermeasures in place to fend off all the nonsense that's coming at you, vying for your time and attention at work. You don't need to say yes to everything, but we have to use these countermeasures, put them in place to make sure that our mind is ours, our time, our attention is ours, our energy is ours. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is a very tactical view of the corporate countermeasures you can put in place starting today. Now, before we dive in, if you're vibing with me on this podcast, I'd really appreciate if you hopped on over to Apple Podcasts and left a quick, honest written review. It really helps make sure that we get the word, the message, the mission of Uncage Yourself in the minds and the ears of those we aim to serve. Got a lot of good work to do, and I really appreciate you getting it out there or even sharing it on social media, maybe something you've learned today. So thank you very much. All right. Now, let's take a hard look at those corporate countermeasures. These are secrets of mine. I'm letting you in behind the scenes here, okay? They unlocked so much space, energy, opportunity, new relationships, pathways in my life when I employed them. For example, when I put these in place, I was able to work 50% fewer hours than all my colleagues. They didn't know it. I just was. But I was showing up for all the right things in the right ways. My reputation stayed strong. I still got promoted. I was in a good leadership position. All these things worked out in my favor. But you've got to employ these things very carefully. Don't let corporate use you. Use corporate, okay? So I'd like to introduce 12 ways that I made this situation real when I took these countermeasures to heart, as I deployed them, as I designed them, as I went. It worked over a series of 5 years, and it really made my life easier. And since then, I've been teaching this same set of strategies to all my clients over the years too. And it's been unlocking so much progress and space in their world to the point where they're reclaiming their time and energy. They're building side businesses. They're healthier. They're more present and attentive with their spouses, with their kids. It's a really beautiful situation when you put this in place. Now, as a little bit of context before we get into these top 12 corporate countermeasures, I want you to have this context in the back of your mind. This is kind of the overarching set of principles you must know. The first one is that you must identify the essential work outcomes in your world. So understand the specific work that you can do that creates the most value for your organization. Of the 20 things you might be spending your time on right now, maybe 3 really matter. You have to know what those are. Things that move the needle, things that are incentivized, that are valued, that your boss will be really happy you spend time on. Not the nonsense, not the noise, but the essential work outcomes. Secondly, you need to commit to only those things and work hard to remove all the energy-sucking, non-essential activities. This is good for you and the company. You don't need to go to those optional networking events. You don't need to be on all the crazy stand-up or administrative meetings that don't have purpose. You don't need to do constant email and Slack checking all day and just have it blindly hit you in the face with pings and dings, just getting notified like crazy. That's insane. It's going to destroy you, and it probably already is. And thirdly, this principle of you must reclaim time and energy and redirect that time and energy towards higher priority areas of your life, like your health, your family, building a side business of your own. So those are the pieces, the overarching principles I want you to consider: identifying essential work outcomes, committing to those, and then redirecting that reclaimed time and energy towards higher value areas of your life. So that's the context. Now, to get there, to make this real, you need to deploy these top 12 countermeasures. So I'm going to go through in a specific order because they build on each other, and you'll see as we go here. The first one is that I want you to have a motivating life design. You must establish this. This is where you create a 10x, a 10 times better view of your ideal career and life. You have to make it outlandish, emotional in a positive way. It's got to be energizing. This is your daily compass. You have to have this picture in your head when you close your eyes and you go there in your mind about what life could be. Not just a little bit better, not just 2x better, but 10x better. It's going to pull you forward, and it's got to absolutely enliven you and drive you out of bed on Monday mornings because you know where you're headed. It's not just accepting incremental default path stuff, but going towards something that really excites you, and it has to be unique to you. Secondly, I want you to establish rules of engagement for your job. This is where you develop a short social contract with yourself on what you will and won't give to the job. Hey, Matt here. Quick break. I'd like to gift you a valuable resource. It's a short video training that helps you uncage yourself. You'll find it at uncagedworkshop.com. There, you'll learn my exact method for escaping the corporate cage, creating a self-directed life, and unlocking uncapped income by doing work you love. So go check out that short video at uncagedworkshop.com. All right, back to the show. This creates psychological commitment to doing the right things, the essential things. You have to say, here's what I am absolutely going to do, and this is a small set of things, but here's all the stuff I will not do. And this is like your own personal terms and conditions on showing up at your job. You have a rule set. You have standards. You will not violate those standards because they're so sacred to you. You have to learn to enforce this, because if you just open yourself up to all the wants and requests of everyone else, you're going to get run over. You're going to get burned out, and you're going to be in a caged state, as you know. So that's rules of engagement. Thirdly, I want you to convert your job into a utility. Now, this is a combination of mindset and strategy work, where you reprogram your mind to view your job as a transaction. It's a time for money exchange. It's a resource to fuel your life. I want you to detach your identity from the job and get hyper-focused on getting the most gain for the least effort. This is a pure efficiency play. And when you view your job as a utility, it's a tool for your life, right? You don't have to have all this reliance of it providing meaning and purpose and all that gooey stuff that we all hope for. Detach from it. Don't even need that. Look at it as a transaction. And when you view it as that sort of exchange, you're going to be a lot more surgical in how you show up. You'll do this, not that. You'll do this, not that. You'll be a lot more clear cut because you don't need it to provide this deeper feeling of purpose and meaning in your world. It's just a utility. It's a tool. View it that way and start showing up every day with that mindset. Fourth countermeasure, I want you to design your ideal week. Trust me, this is a power move. Instead of just fitting life in on the fringes, as you might be doing right now, I want you to design your week from scratch. I want you to think about a blank sheet of paper in front of you right now, about a 7-day week, and you go out and you actually schedule all your most important things in life. And I want you to think about your personal priorities first, your family, your health, your interests, your learning, your reading, your meditation, whatever it is, all the self-care you need. I want you to be selfish. I want you to be selfish because that's the only way you can be selfless. It's like being on an airplane, right? Put your mask on first before helping others. Same concept. So I want you to take this to your schedule. I want you to schedule your priorities at the ideal times across that 7-day span. And then consider where can your key work activities fit in after you've done your personal stuff. You've laid that out, and then you do the hard work of engineering that to reality. If you, for example, have an 8 a.m. morning stand-up that pisses you off and it doesn't add any value and it's just ruining your precious morning hours, that's where you have to step back and say, I'm going to have to design something different. I'm going to have to take control of this. So you design your ideal week and you do the things you need to do at work to make that happen. You opt out, you delegate, you propose a shift, maybe that benefits everybody. That's the sort of thing we've got to do. Number 5, I want you to make your mornings sacred. This comes down to establishing a healthy morning ritual where you are getting in a zone away from electronics, away from all the noise, and get into a state where you are reflective, meditative, doing deep work. So hold off on opening Slack, email, the news. Hold off on that as long as possible. Hell, even decline those daily stand-ups that start way too early because you know what? That's your creative time. And make that argument. Hey, so-and-so, I do my best work in the morning, boss. I need to have this time for myself. Can we engineer a situation where those meetings don't happen at this time? Or we can do it over Slack messages later, asynchronously. You've got to keep your mornings sacred. And you can tell me all day, I'm not a morning person, Matt. Well, no one's a morning person by default. You have to create this. You have to train yourself into it. You can get there. Number 6, I want you to create bright line boundaries. These are lines that 100% will not be crossed. And I want you to design your environment accordingly. For example, a bright line might be you never, ever check email after 7 p.m., before 10 a.m., or on Saturdays. Very bright lines. And at first, this might feel uncomfortable because the old you would do this. Or you feel that, oh, my colleagues are responding to the boss at 10 p.m. at night. Everyone starts workday number 2 after the kids go to bed. No. Establish sharper boundaries. Do the work to make them real. If you need to talk to people about it, so be it. They'll respect that. Just have good reasons. Stand by them. Respect yourself. Create bright line boundaries. Number 7, I want you to say no by default. A diplomatic no thank you should be your response to nearly every request of your time. You've got to find creative ways to convey this, of course. You can't use those 3 words all the time of no thank you, but make this your default. Make the requests of your precious time, especially as you become more senior in your organizations, make it hard to get to. Put gates in place. Make them jump through some hoops. Make them realize that a request of your time is a very precious request. They need to be smart about it. Push back on them, challenge them, see if there's another way, see if it needs to happen at all. Say no by default. Number 8, make yourself scarce. I want you to become hard to reach. As the author Robert Greene says in 48 Laws of Power, he says, use absence to increase respect and honor. Think about that. The people that are harder to reach, that are a little bit more mysterious, they're the ones we admire. They're like the ones that we can't quite get to. And when you're harder to get, just like when you're trying to date someone, when they play hard to get, you want them more. Same thing here. Make yourself scarce. Don't be online all the time. Don't have your Slack message always show that you're green, present, available. No, make yourself hard to get to. That does a lot of psychological work for people to admire you and respect you and honor you even more. Understand that law of power. Make yourself scarce. Number 9, I love this one. I call it purchase relationship insurance. I want you to look around your organization and look at people that are situated in key positions. Maybe they have lots of respect, power, they know a lot of people, they have a lot of influence, a lot of sway. I want you to develop trust-based relationships with 3 to 5 key people in your organization. Ideally, people that are higher level than you, at least one level, but they've got a lot of influence. And when you have that relationship and you know, like, and trust each other, and you've done the work to build essentially a friendship at play there, they'll have your back. They'll speak on your behalf in a good way, even if you're in a pinch, you're not around, you've got other things that are more important, or you've just not been at the office as much as everyone else because you've been focusing on other priorities. Those people are like insurance to you. They'll have your back, and you won't be so isolated if someone's targeting you and complaining about you, for example, which happens in office politics. You don't want to have to fight for yourself, especially if you're not in the room and you can't. You want other people in your network to fight for you. So purchase relationship insurance essentially by creating very strategic relationships with a handful of people that can have your back. And you can find out who those people are. You can ask around, you can look around, understand who gets a lot of say, who gets into all the meetings that are big strategic decision-making meetings. Understand this and go after it. Build those relationships. Number 10, this countermeasure is very tactical. I call it creating assets and automation. So say you're some sort of technical expert, a wizard of some sort. Maybe it's in marketing or finance or cybersecurity, and you've got this technical know-how. And as an expert, there are people that always come to you with the same questions repeatedly. And you find yourself at one meeting after another, essentially being asked the same types of questions and giving the same types of answers. And you're just doing things again, rinse and repeat again and again. So instead of just doing that and wasting your time, develop some digital assets that do the work for you. So whether this is your own sort of internal wiki page, your own PowerPoint presentation, some code if that matters to you, maybe a set of artifacts or reports that are examples of the work you normally help people with, and they can use that as reference material. And essentially, that's your first line of defense. Anytime someone comes as a request for your time, you can filter that and be like, go to this repository and it's nicely sorted. Sift through that repository, see all the assets I've made available. I have a lot of my typical question and answer stuff there. Go through that. And if you need level 2 support, then we can talk. But you buy yourself so much time. You avoid so many needless meetings that don't need to happen by creating assets and automation. Number 11, I want you to introduce process enhancements in your organization. For example, can a daily stand-up be an async Slack check-in at the middle of the day? I want you to look around, just offer ideas that buy back time, not just for yourself, but for everyone. What can you do to streamline things? If you and your colleagues are pissed at the way things are, find the diplomatic, polite way of introducing something new to the right person or group. Here's a new process enhancement that makes everyone's lives easier. Be the one that introduces that, because other people are probably thinking it too. Be the one that actually steps up and does it. Now, our 12th and final corporate countermeasure is this. I want you to shape your role and schedule. Think of it like this. When you look in your organizations at executives, say vice president, senior vice president, partner, whatever it is in your organization, managing director, they are in extreme control of their own role and schedule. For example, when they come in, they negotiate their role, their job description, their span of control, their job responsibilities, and they mold these to their strengths. They don't go in and jump into a job which they're going to be set up for failure in. No, they don't do that whatsoever. But they work to negotiate terms, responsibilities, leadership alignment so it really benefits their strengths and they can be super successful. There's no reason you can't do this on your own wherever you are right now. I don't care if you're 10 years into this whole thing, mid-level manager, that's fine. You can work with your leadership around you to mold your role, to shape it to your strengths into something that you enjoy more. You don't have to just take the defaults that are given to you. Don't just take the job description that was produced and shipped on LinkedIn and you signed up and you eventually got the job through a hiring manager. No, do the work. This is all negotiable. Everything's up for negotiation. Just make it happen. And then your schedule as well. Don't be the type of person that just shows up with an open calendar and people just throw shit on your calendar left and right, taking up all your time. No. What do executives do? They block off huge chunks of time for themselves. Often it's for deep work. It's for reserving precious time for select meetings that they accept or propose. They don't let their lives get taken over by others. If you just stand out there with an open calendar, you're going to get destroyed, bombarded by requests. All your time, energy, attention is going to go towards things that you don't value, that are not essential, that don't move the needle. You've got to take control. Shape your role, shape your schedule. Tell yourself, this is how I work best. And then tell everyone else, this is how I work best. Everything is negotiable. Shape it. Take control. You can be that executive, even if you're not a formal executive right now. So those are my top 12 corporate countermeasures that I used on myself over 5 years and really taking control of my corporate experience, making it something I love. When I put these things in place, when I learned them from others, when I experimented on myself, that's only now after the fact that I can compact them down into this top 12 list. I learned through tons of refinement, and it's what I teach my best coaching clients these days as well, is how do you make these countermeasures come to life for you to buy back that precious time, energy, attention, to live your best personal life, to be there for yourself, your family, to build something of your own for the future, to create a future self that you're proud of. You need to install countermeasures so life is yours. Work doesn't need to overtake you. You are the one in control. So it's offense, it's defense. You can get all sorts of gains from this. I hope it really adds value to your life. Now, if you're looking to make progress in this, I will say the way to jumpstart this is by first looking into your current situation, looking deeply at that, having an honest conversation about what you're facing and the consequences of staying in that situation. So I invite you to book a breakthrough call with us over at matthewdoan.com/talk. There, when you book that breakthrough call, we'll set up and we'll do 3 things in that conversation. Number 1, we'll look at your current work situation. What's working, what's not working, and why. You'll see all sorts of opportunities for what needs fixing and the countermeasures that you need to install. We'll get a lot of light shining on those problems. Secondly, we'll look at what you'd like to have true instead in your career and life. And thirdly, we'll talk about the exact game plan for getting you there. So you can book that call over at matthewdoan.com/talk. That gets you the jump start for bringing these corporate countermeasures and so much else into your life so that corporate becomes an asset to you where you are in complete control. Like Neo in the Matrix, you are the one who is controlling the situation. You are not being controlled. That's the point of all this. That's why we talk about living uncaged so much, because you are the one who's calling the shots, even when working for someone else, right? So that's what I have for today. I really hope you take these top 12 corporate countermeasures to heart. Think about designing them, applying them into your world. They make a ton of difference. We really roll them out in a hurry with all my coaching clients, and they come up with all sorts of gains, reclaiming 30 to 50% of their time in a hurry. They are healthier. They are at peace. They are better for their family. They have all sorts of room and capacity to build something on their own if they'd like to as well. As far as entrepreneurial gains, there's a lot that you can do there. So bring these countermeasures to your world. I hope they help, and we will chat soon. Thanks, my friend.
Hey, Matt here. Thanks for listening to Uncage Yourself. For show notes and more content like this, head over to uncageyourself.fm. And if you liked what you heard, I'd appreciate you leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Until next time, be well, my friend.